This week, I'm answering the question, can I do my own prenup? Chris Rock once said, you can drive a car with your feet if you want to. That doesn't make it a good idea. Look, the circumstances where you can write your own prenup effectively are going to be pretty rare. If you write your own prenup, you're almost certainly only getting a fraction of the benefits of having a prenup. In this video, I'll give you 3 reasons why you don't want to write your own prenup. If you're thinking about getting a prenup, it's just worth paying a lawyer to have it done right. Reason number 1, your own prenup is going to keep you out of the courtroom. If you watch some of my other videos, you know that prenups are good for a whole lot more than just protecting your premarital assets. A prenup done right will help you avoid the possibility of a messy divorce. Sure, you can have a prenup that protects what you're bringing into the marriage, but if you don't spell out what happens to the assets you accumulate during the marriage itself, and your marriage comes to an end, you'll be embroiled in just as much litigation as any other couple without a prenup. That means a year to a year and a half of litigation and tens of thousands of dollars in attorney's fees. And as long as you're going through the process of getting a prenup, you might as well have your agreement cover all of your financial issues if you get divorced, what you and your spouse would split and what you and your spouse would keep separate, plus how you'd go about actually doing it. This isn't something you're going to get from an online form. Let me give you an example. It's great to have your prenup say that if your marriage comes to an end, you'll sell your marital home and split the proceeds 50-50. But if you do your own prenup, you're almost certainly going to leave unanswered questions to be resolved. When exactly does the house have to be listed for sale? Who gets to list the property? How do you set the list price? What kind of offers do you have to accept? What if the buyer wants repairs or renovations done? Who pays the bills while the house is up for sale? If you haven't written a contract that deals with all the questions that can pop up around the sale of a home, then you probably shouldn't be writing your own prenup. You're almost certainly going to leave unanswered questions that will require you to pay a lawyer lots of money to figure out, a whole lot more money than having a good lawyer draft your prenup in the first place. Reason number 2, not to draft your own prenup. You don't know what you don't know. If you're writing your own prenup, you're almost certainly going to be copying over some legalese from a contract written by a lawyer into your agreement. Do you know what those phrases mean? Do you really know? Take it from me. I've been practicing law for over 20 years, but when I deal with a legal issue that is outside of my wheelhouse, I go hire a lawyer to give me the real interpretation, which almost always includes how judges interpret those phrases in real life courtrooms. Also, even if you understand every word in the document, you don't know which kinds of provisions weren't included in the document that could have or should have been in there. When it comes to something like a prenup, popular culture has most people thinking that all you can do is protect a ton of wealth that you have coming into the marriage. And that barely scratches the surface of what my clients end up including in their agreements when they see what all options are available to them. There are things you might not have thought of, like what kinds of provisions you can include that prepare for the possibility of you and your spouse having kids, or what kind of financial structure is right for you and your spouse, given your age and respective careers. A template agreement isn't going to tell you how to think about alimony and what circumstances to prepare for on that front. And overall, you need the ability to ask follow-up questions. A prenup is something you get to do once, and not doing it correctly can have dire consequences for your finances years or decades down the line. You wouldn't draft your own paperwork for a house purchase, and you shouldn't draft your own contract for your marriage either. Reason number 3 not to draft your own prenup, enforceability. You need to know that your document is enforceable. Prenups are interesting contracts. You sign it hoping you never need it. And if you do need to enforce it, it could be next year or it could be 30 years down the line. And you won't know if the agreement you drafted on your own will actually hold up in court until you're in front of a judge, which could be decades into the future. Some people base their entire financial lives on the assumption that their prenup is going to hold up. Yet I've done a number of divorces where clients have written their own prenup, and most of the time it's either entirely unenforceable or doesn't actually accomplish what they wanted to have happen. Listen, your prenup will help decide what happens to every dollar you and your spouse accumulate over the course of your marriage. Even if you have household income of $50,000, that's going to add up to $1 million over 20 years. A prenup can be written by a good lawyer for a few $1,000s. Don't leave it up to chance by doing this on your own. If you want to see how easy it is to get a lawyer to draft a prenup for you, answer your questions, and customize the agreement to your particular circumstances, come visit us at prenups.com.